Rules in action. Rules that keep things going smoothly and fairly. Rules that help us get where we're going. Help us work together, play together, and live together. Of course, in small groups, we sometimes get along without rules.
But there aren't any loud noises, just the sounds of working. We call these work sounds. Listen.
When many of us play together, rules make the game. Rules help us play fair with each other, so all can enjoy the game. Rules that apply equally to all. It's up to each one of us to know the rules and follow them.
Why do you suppose this room is so quiet? Perhaps we can learn from the teacher.
At New York's Madison Square Garden, a city college quintet faces five fast and fancy wet boots from the University of Oregon. It's the opening contest of an intersectional doubleheader, and New York draws 2 points worth of first blood.
And you know, we have found that knowing when to be quiet is a part of growing up.
16,000 fans watch the boys from the Pacific Coast as they try to stem the onslaught of City College fever. But it's all over when Silverstein shoots off the hardwood, decades the ball, and the ball game for CCNY 38-36.
Because a quiet room helps all of us learn.
How do you do it?
Well, each of us knows how to work quietly. That's very important.
But the evening sport is a long way from the locker room. In the second game, a team of Northwestern Wildcats is matched against St. John's University of Brooklyn. The lads from Illinois are off to a springboard start when Bob Coble eases the Allen into the basket to take the lead.
Do you think you could walk this quietly? Listen to this work sound.
But tribal warfare comes to the gymnasium as the St. John's Indians retaliate with 2 points. From now on, the game is touch and go, with 10 men helping to get it there. A beautiful display of teamwork, and Northwestern gets in the number column with sharp shooting Bob Coble doing the honors.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Learn the Game, where you learn if you've got an F for effort. Today, we're going to be talking about how your environment affects who you believe the GOAT is or who isn't. Before we get into that, welcome, Politicus Rex. How are you today, sir?
All right. How y'all doing?
Fantastic. So what are some of the determining factors that will influence somebody to think that somebody is the greatest of all time versus not? External factors.
Well, that's one thing that just popped in my head the other day is the GOAT debate over time. And I've been hearing GOAT debates since the 1970s when it was, Wilt or Russell, and they would argue the playing style because they both played in the same era. So it was playing style. It was like, well, Wilt dominated individually, could not be stopped one-on-one and all that. And then the argument for Bill was, well, he just won. He did whatever his team needed to win. He just worried about the W. And it was two different mindsets in approaching the game. And that's what was the key to the argument. Then you get into the 80s and you get the Magic Bird debate. Then Jordan comes along. Then Jordan pretty much, leads all these debates until, LeBron comes around and now there's a whole bunch of LeBron, LeBron versus Jordan. And the other guys, and I forgot Kareem, didn't mention him. But then what happens, like at first it was Russell's attitude of team first versus Wilt's individual dominance. Then Kareem comes along and people said, well, here you go. Here's a guy that had both. He had the individual dominance and he won a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
So he had both. Then Jordan comes along, and well, Jordan is a smaller guy. Not going to say small. He's still 6'6", but he's a smaller guy. He was tall for his position. The average shooting guard during his time was 6'4", so he's 2 inches taller. And I don't think it's fair to say more athletic than, at the very least, the vast majority of the players he played against head to head.
Yeah.
But it was more aesthetics. He looked great doing it. So he caught a lot of attention. And then obviously off the court, he was just a platinum gold diamond mine, And then, LeBron comes along, and LeBron's claim to the throne, imaginary throne, is he's plays a way that guys his size traditionally have not been able to play. He's a perimeter player, but he's the same size as Karl Malone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, he's so nimble and everything and athletic at his size, So it's the all-around aspect of his game, and then the longevity, being able to keep it up for over 2 decades. That's, the argument is now that, and it got me thinking, but now that the topic has moved to essentially duration against peak, longevity against peak, well, that wasn't ever the argument before.
Yeah.
Before it was other things, were what you cling to arguing.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking, well, how does the different eras affect? No one actually looks at the game, their games anymore.
Mm-hmm.
How they play, what they do in different situations, their actual skill level at different parts of the game. They argue outside factors. Like now, if you bring up Wilt, Russell, even your beloved George Mikan, it's always the same thing. Oh, well, evolution of the game. Back then, they were plumbers and electricians, all that stupid stuff. Well, your GOAT was a shoe salesman. So,
Yeah.
And it's just, it got me thinking that the GOAT argument has, I'll say it, deteriorated into just arguing outside influences rather than actually arguing the skill set and the influence of the individual players on the court.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? So I know you were talking about the shoe salesman. Are you specifically talking about time involved with it? Is that what you're talking about as an outside influence?
Well, that's what they'll go to. That'll always be the when you say, well, average 50 and 25 one season. Mm-hmm. And the comeback for, if you're a Jordan guy or a LeBron guy or even a Kareem guy, is, yeah, well, he was playing against a whole bunch of nobodies. So he was able to achieve those stats because the league overall, they suck. Those guys couldn't even play today.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But they were playing by the rules of the time, what they were allowed to do. I mean, nobody today, Giannis, and you damn sure not Jokic, ain't none of these guys today going to win a college conference high jump championship or a shot put championship, or like Bill Russell qualify for the Olympics in track and field. None of these guys today can do that. None of them. They say guys jump higher today than they did back in the day, but the Olympic long jump record was set in 1968, still hasn't been beaten. So athletes are not jumping higher or farther. What it is they've changed how they measure it.
Yeah.
It used to be your vertical leap was measured just like a broad jump. Broad jump used to be an actual event.
Yeah.
And it was how far you can jump off 2 feet.
Yeah.
Vertical jump used to be jumping straight up off 2 feet.
Yeah.
And now they let you take a 20-yard running start, plant, and jump, and swipe at the little domino-looking stack
Yeah.
and reach the absolute possible height you can reach, and then say, well, that's your vertical, which is also incorrect because they're measuring how high you reach, not the bottom of your heel.
Yeah.
So if you got wider shoulders and you turn like this, well, you're gaining an extra 3 inches.
Yeah.
You know, that your feet are actually at the same height. It's all jumbled just to make higher numbers, to get publicity, to get known. They're not any more athletic. The rules have changed and they're allowed to use their athleticism. And that gets us to like, okay, well, when you compare Jerry West to, like a Kobe or a Michael Jordan, well, Jerry West wasn't allowed to do the stutter step and chuck his feet and take the extra half step and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't permitted. And it's just, I hear so many arguments talking about all these outside factors and not the actual saying, okay, well, one thing that has never changed is the free throw.
Yeah.
Okay, well, look at the free throw percentages. That was Wilt's big mental issue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's a real issue. He has a mental block within the game he's supposed to be one of the greatest ever at.
Yeah.
So in my eyes, that kind of disqualifies you. If there's a specific skill that you just cannot do no matter what you try, then all right, you're fantastic. You're an amazing player. You're absolutely unreal. You're unique in so many different ways. But the most basic thing to do with a basketball is to stand in one spot and put it in the basket. That's the first thing you do the first time you're given a ball when you're whatever age. So you should at least be able to do that proficiently, correct? Regardless of position.
Yeah, I think free throws is, not being a giant per se, not being a 7-footer with, I don't know what it feels like to shoot a ball with, having a foot long hand. But being a bigger guy, like a more average size basketball player in total, I think the free throw is the easiest thing you could, and I would think it's the easiest thing you can just work on whenever you want to do. It's all on your time. It's all the same shot. There's really no dynamic to it in respect to practice. So I personally don't understand why people are absolutely garbage at free throws. I understand the like I mentioned, the hand size or what have you, the height and the release. I get the technicalities of how it can be affected. And I don't have the experience of having those challenges. So I would think, though, that is in total the one thing that's probably the easiest to improve on, as a blanket statement. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Is like no one actually compares the comparative skill of these players. Like you have the one thing I hear today, and that I see so much of, is these players get traded and jump team to team. And I know a lot of it is just, it's busy talk. It's just excuses that they give because the real reason for jumping the team, they don't want public, There's for y'all that don't know, there's a lot of fights in the locker room and a lot of stuff that goes on between families of members of teams off the court that you will never, ever, ever know. And a guy will get traded and they'll say, well, he just wasn't a good fit, or he's coming up on a contract year and they're not going to have the money available. So they want to get something for him now. And they'll make all the business talk. What it was he hit on another player's wife and they're getting him the heck out of there because the other guy wants to kill him next time he sees him in the locker room. You get all kinds of stuff. You get guys fist fights. As we know, you got guys that bring guns. There's all kinds of stuff, right? That's just not talked about. But I've never heard until like the modern era, hearing guys, hearing teams like team GMs and coaches saying, well, these two couldn't play well together. They're just not a good fit. They can't, the chemistry and all this on the court. And it's like, dude, you're playing basketball.
Yeah.
It's not like square peg in a round hole. You're just playing basketball.
Yeah.
These guys play with 10,000 teammates over the course of their life on the playground, little league, high school, AAU, college, if they go pro, all-star, Olympics, charity games. They literally play with 10,000 other guys, and they've reached the highest level of the sport. Okay, you guys can play together, but it's not until this modern era, like especially with guys like Russell Westbrook, he gets traded all over the place, and it's always, well, he wasn't a good fit. Dude, the guy's a walking triple-double. How is he not a good fit?
Yeah.
That's something you never heard back in the old days because you actually learned how to play the game. It wasn't 5 guys that are really great at the individual ball skills all getting on the court. Used to be you had 5 guys that knew how to play the game. 5 guys moving at one time, and they all knew where they needed to be on the court at all times on offense and defense. They knew how to sucker a defender out of position. They knew how to make a defender turn his head, and at the exact same time, the guy with the ball make a cut in the other direction, to get that half a step head start on the defender. You had all these, you knew how to box out. You knew the offense knew where the shot, if they're running a set play, they know where the shot's coming from. And they've ran it 1,000 times in practice, so they know where the rebound's coming off of. So the rebounders are getting position before the shot's even taken. To tell you the truth, guys, that's when I would sit there and watch games and would impress my friends, telling them where the shot was going to be taken before it was even taken. That's how you know. You look at the offensive rebounders.
Yeah.
They tell you where the shot is going to come from.
Mm-hmm.
The split second before the shot is taken. And I would see, I'd see Dennis Rodman go to the weak side and get at a 45-degree angle from the basket. And I'd say, okay, Jordan's shooting from the wing. And then a second and a half later, Jordan does a pull-up.
Yeah.
It's like, because Rodman knows where the shot's going to come from. So he's getting in rebounding position before the ball's in the air. I'm just watching him.
Yeah.
That's how you learn the game. You do this stuff. But these guys today, it seems like it's so much, and it's the AAU, so much emphasis on individual skills that no one knows how to play as a team anymore. And that's the most important skill. So when you're talking about, that's one thing, like you have a debate coming up in a little bit, Jordan versus LeBron. That's one thing that really goes in Jordan's favor because Jordan had the privilege of playing for fantastic coaches his entire career.
Yeah.
He had, from high school to college, Olympics, pros, he had phenomenal coaching at every level along the way. Shoot, the assistant coaches that helped him at North Carolina are now in the Hall of Fame as coaches.
Yeah.
Okay, so he had amazing coaches and he listened. So he learned a whole lot about the game. He knew how to play the game. That he had a big advantage there. LeBron, growing up in the modern environment, the AAU environment, since the age of 15 or 16, he was stuck on an AAU team, given the ball and said, go play. And here's how you dominate a game on ball. But have you ever watched LeBron play off ball? He's not an all-time great at playing off ball. And that's a product of the environment, a product of the time. Could he play off ball? Obviously, if he grew up in the 70s, he would play an entirely different type of game. But he'd still be the same athlete. He'd still have the same skill level, and he'd still be at the top of the sport. He would just be playing a different way. It doesn't mean that, LeBron is a dumb idiot and can't play off ball. In the modern era, it's not how they play. So it's something that he never learned the specific nuances at the most elite level. But that goes in reverse. And you say, well, guys back in the 60s couldn't shoot like today. No, they couldn't, because the emphasis wasn't on just standing around in a gym by yourself for 5 hours, putting up 1,000 shots.
Mm-hmm.
It was more important that you learned how to play with your teammates, how to box out, how to set proper screens, how to know you would run plays and you would switch positions running plays, not because the coach was going to use the power forward at point guard at any point, but so the power forward could understand what the point guard is trying to do in that particular play. No one does anything like that anymore.
I'm going to go over some of these comments. So Woodage says narratives have taken over all debates now, and people will look to back their look for info to back their narrative while trying to act like they're fair, but will throw a fit if you don't agree or don't care. So
exactly.
Yeah, to bring it back into more of how does your environment affect your GOAT perspective, or how do outside influences? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's why exactly what I was talking about. That's what it's become.
Mm-hmm.
People will talk, they'll sit there and they'll talk about, oh, well, you can't compare these guys because in that era they were just not as good, or in this era they, like today you've had numerous coaches and general managers say, well, the triangle is gone forever because it was too complicated, and you have to be a very high IQ basketball player to understand how to run it correctly, and everyone has to understand how to run it. You can't have one guy on the team that doesn't understand it. He'll screw it all up. And today, in the era of a lot of foreign players that have never heard of the triangle before coming here, and then players that skip college, played one semester of college, and then they're gone, none of them learn, and they grow up in the AAU where they don't run complicated offenses and teach you how to play the game. Mm-hmm. That you can't run the triangle offense anymore. And that's what I'm talking about. It doesn't mean players today can't. It means they were never taught it. Those are two totally different things.
Yeah.
But if you try to explain that, then obviously the person you're debating will say, oh, you're stupid. You're saying he can't do this, or he doesn't know how to do that. Of course he does. It's like, why would he? That's not part of the game anymore.
So what's another outside influence that you think? So we're talking about the time bias. You're talking about the play styles, just the general
philosophies
of that. What's something else?
Well, others are when you hear just the social climate, the mm-hmm. culture. Like direct opposites. You the Allen Iverson against the George Mikan.
Yeah.
Saying, well, George Mikan couldn't play in Allen Iverson's time because of the culture of the game. How, basketball has its own culture now. Yeah. And how Mikan played doesn't fit. Well, yeah, but he was still the best in the world at what he did. He would still be in the NBA, and he'd still be an all-star, and he'd still play just as well. Maybe not dominate as well because of the rules changes that would actually hinder him. But it's the same thing. Allen Iverson, if he went back to the 1940s, he's not doing that crossover. Not once. Mm-hmm. Not once. His first step, that's a travel.
Yeah.
The most important part of his game is, by the rules, taken away from him.
Yeah.
Now, he was still an MVP, 4-time scoring champion, all of that. He still would be a great player, but he would play differently. But you always hear people talk about, oh, well, back in 40s and 50s, you had the racial quotas and all of that stuff, which that's already been, already proven that really doesn't make a difference to a player's greatness, because they had the World Basketball Championships every year, where the NBL, the BAA champions would play the Negro League champions in this round robin tournament in Chicago every year. And, Mikan's team more often than not won it, playing against
Yeah.
the black teams. And something that people don't understand is when you sit there and talk about, well, the NBA was segregated. NBA was, but the BAA wasn't. The BAA was integrated.
Mhm.
Okay, there were black teams in the BAA.
Was it that the NBL didn't want? I would assume that the NBL was then segregated because of the merger with the NBA. Was that an agreement
Yeah.
that it came to? Okay.
Or I actually have it backwards. I'm sorry, I said them backwards. The BAA was segregated. The NBL was not.
Okay.
Mikan played in the NBL.
Yeah. Before
They were integrated.
Mhm.
They had a black Washington team. They had a black Chicago team in different seasons.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, some of the outside influences too that have nothing to do with the players on the court, it is how you as an individual play the game. I think that people that are typically play a bigger position often favor bigger guys, not particularly the GOAT itself, but they think that players that play post players are greater than guards, and guys that play guard, they think that guards are better, generally speaking. I think that's an outside influence.
I guess I'm
argument.
the odd one out because I'm the point guard that always wanted to be a center. You know,
Mhm.
it was Will Chamberlain that fascinated me from an early age, and then I learned about Russell and Nate Thurman and Moses Malone and Kareem, and just going all the way up. Patrick Ewing. I used to see all his home games.
But I think that's rather common though, is that somebody, when I see somebody who likes to shoot the ball from the three-point or take the ball up, they seem to lean towards guard players in the pros as somebody that are greater than big men. I think that's a big one. It's just your personal bias of how you play the game. Do you find that common as well? Or?
Oh yeah, very much so. But it's one of those. What came first, chicken or the egg?
Mm-hmm.
Does the guy that played point guard think Magic Johnson is the greatest because he plays point guard, or did he grow up playing point guard because he thought Magic was the greatest and was trying to emulate his hero?
Yeah.
Which is the starting point. That's the one thing for all kids. When I coached, that was the one thing at basketball camps I made sure to impress on kids is I asked them, who is your favorite player? And whoever your favorite player is, play like him at your age, at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. Emulate your favorite player because your motivation to practice and play is more important than the outcome of the little league games you're playing in.
Yeah.
You can be the smallest guy in the league, but if you love Patrick Ewing, then when you're on your own time, practice like Patrick Ewing, playing like Patrick. Imagine you're Patrick Ewing, because being out on the court and playing is the most important thing, and you must stay motivated.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing at a little age. When I was coach, I had on my desk, I had a little plaque, or not a plaque, but the little desk things that normally have your name. But I had a phrase on there that said, it doesn't matter if you're the best in the world at 12. You're aiming to be the best in the world at 25, because that's when you get paid.
Yeah.
The best 12-year-old basketball player in the world gets nothing. Maybe a free ice cream. Okay?
Yeah.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you're a superstar at 12. In fact, I've seen dozens of 12-year-old superstars end up not even making it to college because they get completely burned out on the game.
Yeah.
Because they were only being taught how to train and how to be better against the competition they're playing against, rather than just play the game. It's a game.
Yeah.
Play the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Technical changes in the middle of the show, messing with my camera. Yeah, no, I really think that the phenomena of coming to conclusions, like some people like to do math, some people like to take it a little more seriously about who they think's the greatest of all time. They like to do some in-depth analysis to whatever regard, whoever it is. And I think an outside influence to the actually coming to a conclusion, a deliberate conclusion, is just and I think you mentioned this, but just to explicitly say it, is what you find more entertaining personally.
Yeah.
Because some people will say Kobe Bryant is the greatest of all time. I think he's great. I think he's one of the greatest of all time. I think a large part of why people say that was just his entertainment value, though. You could argue that for Michael Jordan. I think Michael Jordan has a lot more to back up in respect to things of why he's the greatest of all time. So, but the aspect of it is I think that a lot of people, the outside influence is just what they find entertaining versus the actual discussion of who's greater.
Well, you see, right there is my biggest complaint, argument, whatever you want to call it, pet peeve, is arguing over, well, this guy's greater because he was more appealing, or he had more fans, or he had more notoriety, or however you want to word it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not a fan. I don't care how appealing they are.
Mm-hmm.
I was a player. I was a coach. I officiated. I was involved. If I can't be involved, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't watch basketball. So many fans argue who the GOAT is from a two-dimensional fanboy perspective.
Yeah.
And the fact is, and it's always the ones that say Russell was just, an average player on a fantastic team.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, that average player finished with, 5 MVPs in a shorter career than Jordan got his 5 MVPs. So what is that saying?
Yeah.
It's you play to win the game. Any game. You play to win. Any game you want to play, Monopoly, dominoes, bowling, golf, basketball, anything, pickleball,
Yep.
or netball, which I've started playing. You play to win the game. 21, 1-on-1, horse, 3-on-3, 5-on-5, whatever. You play to win the game. That's why you keep a score.
Yeah.
So then you have so many that because Russell's game was not appealing, was not clickbait, was not, amazing to look at for the casual fan because they don't understand what he's doing, then he's instantly written off. And it's like, nah, he just did what no one else could do.
Yeah.
Which is win 11 out of 13 years he played.
Yeah.
And he was injured in one of those finals that he lost. Well, the only finals he lost, he was injured in.
Yeah.
But in that injury actually got him more titles. Because he had said that if he hadn't got injured and they would have won against St. Louis, then by the time they get to 1966, he would have played 10 years, had 10 titles, 5 MVPs, and he said he would have walked away with red.
Yeah.
But because he had that one stinging loss when he turned his ankle that against Pettit, and Pettit went for 50 in the game 6, deciding game, it irked him for years. And he ended up hanging on and then winning 11 titles when he admitted he would have retired after 10 if he would have won 10 straight. But it's that winning is the point, which is why I always said, and I'm sorry, it already passed me by. I think it was Woodage said that he's having goat fatigue, or no, it's 2000 Ravens getting goat debate fatigue. I had goat debate fatigue in the 70s. I mean, it's ridiculous. There's no such thing as an individual GOAT in a team sport with multiple positions, multiple eras, multiple playing styles, multiple rules changes. It's just not possible to say. It's like the ridiculousness when they say, well, Tom Brady is the greatest, the GOAT in football. Really? Can he block? Can he catch? Can he punt? Can he kick a field goal? Can he get first down on, running the ball on 3rd and 7? No. Can he play linebacker? Can he get a sack? No. So how is he the greatest ever at sport? He can't do 80% of the game.
I loved watching, on a sidebar, I loved watching when they faced the Eagles in the Super Bowl about 10 years ago. And they did a trick play. And he went out and he passed it to, I don't remember who it was, but probably the running back. And the running back passes it to Brady. And it was the slowest. It was a trick play, so it's designed to be an easy pass. And the pass was I'm not saying it was as good as what Tom Brady would have done, but it was a fine pass. And Tom Brady just couldn't even catch it. And he looks like he's going 3 miles an hour. I mean, granted, he was near 40 at that point. It's it's whatever, but it's to your point. It's funny.
These are team sports. There is no greatest one player. Now, more common sense, but even then you have so many different variables as saying at each position, saying, well, this guy was the best post center. Okay, well, that you can at least narrow it down a bit. Mm-hmm. But that's still, I mean, you're talking, okay, Mikan against, versus Shaq. And, of course, everyone's going to say Shaq because Shaq's Shaq. But the fact is, Mikan was more dominant than Shaq. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. But they won't argue that because, a different time, plumbers, blah, 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 all of that. And that's why you just can't even say. But now, at least when I was young, the argument was over their basketball philosophy. Mm-hmm. How Wilt played against how Russell played. You were arguing the game itself.
Yeah.
And your mentality when playing the game. Now, that's not even talked about. Now it's all talking about, well, rules changes that players have no say in. You're talking about, the fact that, they don't go to college anymore. So the players are not as schooled in basketball as they were back in the day.
Yeah.
Remember, there was a time when everybody in the NBA had gone to college for 4 years. Every one of them.
Yeah.
Or if not gone to college, their college classes had graduated before they were allowed to go in the league. Like Wilt went and played with the Globetrotters for a year. And what a lot of people don't realize is Wilt played with the Globetrotters every year on their summer tours. Mm-hmm. So even in the mid-'60s, he was playing with the Globetrotters during the summer.
Yeah.
But society changes, rules change, the money changes. When they talk about, guys don't play the Ironman minutes like they did back in the day. Well, no, because they don't have to. No. It's gone from the league needs the stars on the court because they need the revenue to stay afloat. To now, it's everyone's got a guaranteed contract. They're receiving generational wealth. Oklahoma City just signed 3 players to $750 million.
Yeah.
On one day. Okay. Those are guaranteed contracts.
Yeah.
$750 million for 3 guys to play basketball for the next 4 or 5 years with extensions, right?
Even over my lifetime, I feel like it's in Austin Powers where he's like, I want $1 million, and everyone starts laughing at him. But yeah.
But the thing is, what that does, is, okay, when guys were playing in the 70s, the owners were saying, look, you broke a finger. All right, tape it up and get out there. Because if you're not playing, we don't sell half of our tickets.
Yeah.
We need you on the court to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Now in this modern era where the money comes from other sources, TV contracts, all that type of stuff, endorsements with shoe companies and whatever, and Gatorade, whatever it may be. All this money, all this influx of just the players are now getting generational wealth. And now the owners are saying, well, okay, if you got a tweak, you got, okay, just take a game off, because now they're protecting investments.
Yeah.
It used to be the investment was the team. But now with guaranteed contracts, the investments are the players. So, yeah, players do not play all 82 games anymore. And even when people say, oh, well, Jordan played all 82 in his final season. Yeah, that was over 2 decades ago. If Jordan was in his prime today, he would not be playing 82 games. Because with the internet and all of that, he would be even bigger than he was back then. And ain't no owner going to risk that foot injury in season 2 today.
Rex, you're making my hair turn gray, because 2 decades ago, that's how long.
Talking to my first game, I saw Wilt Chamberlain.
No, it's funny though, because this is a sidebar, and just because we got to start shutting this down, but because I haven't prepared really at all for my debate with T Perfect on who's greater, Michael Jordan or LeBron James. That will be happening at the top of the next hour. So I need to get some numbers right. I have some ideas, but I need some evidence. So I have not done that. No, but I'm at the point where I've been out of high school for 20 years, and it's like, wow, that's a long time. That's something in respect to, putting myself in my shoes back then, imagining that time would never come practically. So,
yeah, well, I graduated 38 years ago, I think.
Yeah. So you've done it twice.
39, something like that.
You've done it twice over at this point.
2000 Ravens says, did Pop start load management? No, he did not start it. It's always been around to some extent. He just, once the league allowed it, because that's the thing. See, at one point in time, load management was not allowed because the league wanted the best players on the court. Because like I said, that's how you made money at one point. In the modern game, which is when Pop is coaching, that's not the case anymore. The thing with Pop was he rotated starters. You used to never rotate starters. Your starters were your starters, and you'd rotate your bench. Pop started rotating starters.
Yeah.
But you had load man. I mean, Larry Bird was on load management because of his back in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always been certain extents to load management. It's just the reasoning behind them. When you look at, like they talk, you always hear people talk about Stockton being an Iron Man, playing every game, 17 out of 19 seasons.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. But, he also averages 8 minutes less per game than LeBron does in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so every 6 games, basically every week and a half, LeBron's playing an entire extra game. All right? There's different ways of looking at this. They act today like, oh, taking days off. Like everyone that's saying this, like they've never called in at any point at their job.
Never.
It's like
I've always been sick I've always had a legitimate injury or sickness calling in to work.
Yeah, well, so do they. I mean, look at it this way. Post-COVID, Post-COVID,
Mm-hmm.
if one of your players comes in and he's sneezing, got a runny nose, has a fever,
Mm-hmm.
and team doctor says, yeah, it looks like he's got a virus. Do you want him in your locker room post-COVID?
Yeah.
No. Go
Yeah.
home. We're scratching you for this game. You're sitting this one out. We don't want you on the we don't want you in the in the tube of the airplane going to the game, because we don't want to spread that. So
Yeah.
just stay home and take this one off. That's a legitimate reason these days. Because of COVID, that is something that's actually come to the forefront. If somebody gets a communicable disease, it may just be a cold.
Yeah.
But post-COVID, there are precautions put in place in the rule book as to what they have to do. Just like on the court nowadays, if someone's bleeding, and this is post Magic Johnson HIV, if someone's bleeding, they have to come out of the game. Okay,
Yeah.
well, if someone gets busted, like when Nash got busted in the nose,
Mm-hmm.
and he had to come out of the game at the most crucial part of the game. Okay, is anyone now saying, like 15 years later, oh, Nash is a choke artist? When the team needed him most, he was on the bench. He wasn't in there because Ori elbowed him and broke his nose and busted his face wide open. No, that was the rules. He could not come back in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But hey, Rex, yeah, I gotta get some numbers. I have ideas. I mean, this is pretty much the most common debate out there.
Yeah.
But I really, because I haven't done anything, outside of very rudimentarily start this, I need to finish it. So you have any last words for the people?
None that would go with your debate that's about to happen. So I would say stop the GOAT debates. Appreciate how great each individual player is with their individual skill sets.
Well, this
Kareem
isn't
said it best. He couldn't do what Michael Jordan did. Michael Jordan couldn't do what Kareem did.
So this isn't a GOAT debate. This is who's greater. This is not who's the greatest of all time. But still, I get your point. Like, I think you're saying this across.
Yeah, but the thing is you
Carte
think he is
blanche.
the GOAT, and then he thinks LeBron is the GOAT. So
Yeah. I mean,
next
yeah.
post facto, it's a GOAT debate for you two.
Yeah.
Like you had the Mike and then LeBron, right?
Yeah.
I still say when it comes to great, here's the thing that clinches any GOAT debate or greatness debate with LeBron is you can argue accolades, success, all of that. But when you're talking greatness, part of the definition of greatness is legacy. And as a current player, LeBron does not have a legacy. He has an image,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a legacy until he retires, which could be another 47 years.
Yeah.
Just kidding. But so he loses any greatness debate against other all-time greats who have been retired for 20, 30, 40 years because he doesn't have a large portion of the argument yet. Now, 20 years from now, every guy in the NBA could be trying to play like LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
And LeBron's influence on the next generation could be just monumental and thrust him above everybody. It's completely possible.
Yeah.
So then the same debate in 10 years, in 5 years, in 20 years, you could have a totally different answer. But at this point, when you argue the different categories of greatness, one category he does not have at all because he has no legacy. And someone argued with me about this before, about a year ago, Robin, saying, his legacy is the flopping and choking in the finals and all of this. Is like, no, that's not a legacy. He's still playing. He can still turn all that around. That's not a legacy. That's his image.
Yeah.
That's how you see him, not how you remember him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where you'll win the debate. because it doesn't matter what he is as far as everything else. He has no legacy yet.
Yeah.
Where Jordan has the biggest legacy, equal to, in the same ballpark as Russell. Because Russell can always drop 11 rings, and that's that. And people get tired of hearing it, and people go, yeah, well, there's nothing else. Well, there is nothing else. If Jordan had 11 rings, would there be debates like you're going to have if he had 11 rings?
If Michael Jordan had 11 rings?
If
No,
Michael
there wouldn't be no
Jordan
debate.
finished with 11 rings, would you be having this debate with Travis? No.
I don't think I should have the debate with him now.
Well,
But
neither do
he
I.
wants to, but he wants to do it, so it was his turn
but that's
to pick.
what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
like if you give those 11 championships to anyone besides Russell, who was a defensive and team player,
Mhm.
to anyone that cared about individual stats, if Wilt had 11, if
Yeah.
Kareem had 11, if Bird had 11, Jordan had 11, if LeBron had 11, if KD had 11, you wouldn't be having these debates.
Yeah.
But people automatically hear the 11 titles and then they throw Russell away because they've just heard it so much. But the point is, it's the only relevant thing.
No.
But
All right.
When y'all starting?
In 45 minutes.
45 minutes. All right.
Yep. So check us out there, and remember to learn the game. Thanks for watching us. 2000 Ravens, Woodage, King Speech Row, all the kick bots, all the Twitch bots. Thank you for watching us.
I don't have any of that stuff, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, there's, you see it, and there's like spam coming in. Best viewers on streamboo.net. Remove the space.
No, I just figure it's people that don't like me.
No, it's just people like promoting crap on Kick and Twitch that are. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. Learn the game, respect the game, and don't get an F for effort.
And we need to figure out what we're doing next week too at some point.
Absolutely. But yeah, check out the debate in 45 minutes on this channel and vote afterwards who you think won, me or Travis, Michael Jordan versus LeBron James, who's greater. And yeah, have a fantastic day if you don't watch.